Welcome to our show. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Sit back and enjoy. We will talk with people about their stories. With our host Steve Ramona, we're ready to start. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Together we serve.
Hi, I'm Melanie Hirschhorn, book marketing strategist for nonfiction and children's book authors, and here is what you can learn from Prince Harry's launch of his new book, Spare. Number one, start marketing months before your launch date. We've all been talking about his book, and that is because he has been marketing it for at least 6 months, if not longer. Number two, secure press. And I mean interviews, podcasts, anything that you can get on other people's platforms in advance and around your launch date. Number three, do not be concerned with giving away too much from the book. You know he's dropping bombshells left and right, but he's not worried. People are still buying copies of his book, and they'll still buy copies of your book too. You can continue to share so much content, and it still will not stop people from buying copies of your book. Number four, share your stories and your mission from the book, and continue to talk about them. It's less about the book itself and really about what is inside it. So keep sharing. Number five, keep marketing your book after the launch and do not stop. Consistency is what's going to set you apart from the competition and set your book apart from the crowded book space. You will see interviews and reviews coming nonstop for a long time for Prince Harry as he shares his story with the world. Have you picked up a copy of Spare? I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. And also, go ahead and subscribe to our channel for more book marketing tips every week.
Welcome, everyone, to Together We Serve. You can see this is going to be the book story, the book show. How many of you thought about writing a book? How many of you written a book and just went, ... We use this old sound thing is this. Your book just failed. Well, my guest today is going to blow you out of the water. I love her to death. You can see in that video. She knows what she's talking about. And what's really cool is she's using other people's books to show you how to do it right. No matter if you're Steve Ramona or Elon Musk, it all works the same. We all have different numbers of influencers, but get that book written, get it published, and get it marketed right with my guest. I want to welcome today to our show, Melanie. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Steve.
Me too. It's, books are a big rampage now. Maybe it was COVID. People are like all this time. And I talk to people every week. They want to write a book or writing a book or have finished. But 90% of them, 95% aren't getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, because people get so wrapped up in the writing and publishing part that they forget that a launch is not a book marketing plan. So it's very important to keep the marketing going and to really start way before, kind of like Prince Harry did, start way before your book comes out. However, I don't want you to feel like, well, I missed the boat, so now I'm going to go cry and curl up in a ball. You don't have to do that either, because today can be the day that you start to market your book, even if it came out a year or two ago.
Now with books, and I'm going to stay on because I have great questions. I talk to people, I want to be like, I'll use Elon Musk. I want to see 10 million copies.
Mm-hmm.
That's a small percentage of people that do that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the statistics are pretty staggering. It's like a self-published author will sell maybe 150 books ever if they don't market it. Even traditionally published authors, it's something like 300 books they're ever going to sell if they don't do the marketing. So
And if
that's
that's
why, here's my book. I'm going to
yeah,
put it back on the shelf because I wanted people to see it. I like show and tell. There it is.
yeah.
But, my book came out a while ago and I'm still talking about it because it's not going to fall off a cliff. It is still pertinent to this conversation.
And I love show and tell because it's the only class I got an A in. So keep show and telling all the time.
Okay.
Well, and that leads to, there's so much to a book. What do you do for somebody like me that wants to do this book? What's my journey look like?
Okay. So what I can do is help get the idea out of your head onto the written page and then published and then marketed. So all the steps of the journey. And I think that a lot of people they say, well, all I need to do is publish a book and it's going to change everything for me. But the truth is that the magic equation is publishing plus promotion. That is going to equal elevated thought leadership. If you just publish the book, it's like having a car with no gas in it. It's not going to go anywhere. So I highly recommend having a marketing plan as well. And so that's what we offer clients, the whole shebang, soup to nuts, so that you're not missing out on the best part, which is people reading your book and then getting return on your investment because you're leveraging your book for speaking opportunities, podcast guesting opportunities, and so much more.
And it's funny when I showed that video before the show, you go, "Oh, that's an old video," but how much is it in play now? And how old is it?
Well, it was January, but I don't remember which January it was. So it's at least 6 months, if not a year and 6 months ago.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's great.
But it stays, it's relevant because things, and even with AI coming into play and people saying, well, that's going to change the face of everything. The truth is an AI book is not going to sell because Amazon is not going to want to put it up there. And Barnes & Noble's not going to want to sell that. So you still have to use your brain to write a book. Ghostwriters are not going out of business. People still have to have original thoughts and your stories still have to be infused in your book. So I'm all about AI for marketing, but not for writing and publishing.
Yeah, because it's not personal and human. And that I want to delve into that because I see YouTube ads all the time. Hey, build an Amazon e-Kindle book and make $100,000 a month. Crazy, but there's
sure.
Yeah, first day 100,000. Yeah, of course you can sell that many books, but
yeah.
Talk about AI and with Amazon and companies like that and Barnes & Noble, what could happen if you try to use AI?
Well, they'll shut down your account. They won't sell your book. You will be basically for example, when you publish a book to Amazon, it's done through Kindle Direct Publishing. Your account will be shut down. And you don't want that because you want your book to be published and seen by people and available for purchase on Amazon. So it's tempting because it's easier, but it's not going to benefit you in the long run. And then you end up paying more because now all of a sudden, how can I get my book out to people? You're going to have to start again.
Spend the time, spend the money, know it's a 2 or 3 a month process, and just do it right instead of have to redo it and wasting all that money with you or somebody else they hire because you're not going to give them their money back. You've done all the work. Right. And they've cheated the system. Yeah. And unfortunately, people are doing that these days. They're trying to find the shortcuts, right? You can't.
I don't think that's a new thing. That's human nature.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
But it's new with ChatGPT.
Yeah. So your VIP book group, what is that about? Because I love the group that you're doing.
So my company name is so long that it's VIP Book Publishing or VIP Book Marketing. But the point is the person who comes to us is a VIP. And we are going to take you through the publishing and the marketing process of your book. And the way I view a book, we don't work with fiction authors necessarily. I have done some marketing for them because it's branding. But what we're really looking at is a nonfiction book that you can leverage to grow your business. So we specialize in working with attorneys, with professionals, with wealth advisors, with business owners, people who have a business and they want to grow it. And your book is such a beautiful way to have longevity with your marketing, because you can then take this book and send it to potential clients. And so they're reading this book and they're learning all about you and how amazing you are and how all the people that you've helped. And so it's a no-brainer when they go to make a hiring decision, because they're going to hire you as their service provider.
Yeah. Why wealth? I think I know the answer, but I want the audience to hear. Why lawyers, wealth advisors, that industry?
Well, because especially with lawyers, they are brilliant people who have so much knowledge that the rest of us can't get access to. And so when I can be the conduit and help, I don't want to say dumb down, but I'm dumbing it down for myself. So when I can take that information and I can help them share it with the rest of us, these are things that are going to help our lives and help the attorneys, because we're going to want to hire them because we see how great they are and all that they've accomplished, and we read it in their book.
Yeah. If you're an attorney or wealth advisor out there, I'd reach out to Melanie just for a chat. I mean, if you never thought about writing a book, at least have a chat. It still may not be a thing for you, but if it's especially lawyers, they need help with marketing. They're not the best marketing industry in the world.
It's true, but the thing is, when you go to law school, you don't learn marketing.
Yeah.
It's the same with a physician. You know, they don't learn how to build a business, and yet they're supposed to come out and start their own practice. Good luck. That's what Google University's for.
Amen. And wealth advisors too. They're taught how finances, numbers,
right?
Money. Finance. That's your thing, not marketing.
Not client retention. Any of the human interaction pieces. It's all that. You can't be everything, and that's why it's very important to hire people that can do the other things.
It's well said, Melanie. You entrepreneurs out there, especially, we're prone to do this. I can't afford it. I've got to do everything. Got to spend money in your business to make money. I take 50% of my profit, goes right back into my business. I know we've talked about that. You do the same thing. Yeah, when you make money, you make $10,000. Yeah, take $5,000, go on a trip, pay your bills, but you got to put it back. You know, Amazon, Google, big company, they put money back in their business. They're not taking all the money and running. We may think they are, but they're not, because it wouldn't be in business. They've got to reinvest in their own company. What a great message that you said, because it's important, especially for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, to hear that. Now, I read something about, go ahead.
I was going to say, you said something that I really want to underscore. You said, take a trip. And as especially solopreneurs, we don't realize how much work wears on us. And so when you're going and you're taking a moment for yourself, you are replenishing, and it's going to come back to you in spades.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I'm married. My wife's like, hey, let's do this. I'm like, I got to work. I'm like, got to look in the mirror and go, I got to take care of my wife, and we got to go out and do things with her. We both work a lot. A lot of people work a lot. I know you work a lot. Mm-hmm. I love that you said that, and that's a lesson for entrepreneurs to take to heart. Now, you know, we're not saying to work 20 hours a week and then go have fun. There's got to be there's never going to be a balance, but try to get that balance. You know, It's like, oh, I'm going to blow off this contract meeting because I want to go take my wife to dinner, or to lunch. No, do the contract meeting, take her to lunch tomorrow. Right. You know, the revenue generating things, you want to keep them going. Now, I read something, maybe this is old, that you did children's books.
Oh, I do help with marketing of children's books. Yes.
Well, I got to learn about this, because I love when children write books, and there are great authors that are children out there, right?
Yes, most of the people, well, all the people I've worked with are adults who have written books for children, but I'm sure I could help a child if the child wrote a book. But what's really cool about children's books is that they take difficult concepts and they really have to make them as simple as possible. And that's a lot harder to do than you think. because it's easy to talk in our like adult language, but when we have to simplify things and make it for children to understand, and then taking that message and turning it into your marketing, it's just a beautiful thing, and I love doing it.
Let's talk about that, because we're going from lawyers, wealth advisors, completely different industry, to people writing children's books. That's
right.
all.
And I'll tell you, like, I'm a Gemini. I know you're almost a Gemini.
Yeah, I
Our
am.
birthdays are what, 2 days apart.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be stuck in one way. So, and I'll tell you that no book is the same. Even two attorneys, the book will not be the same.
Yeah.
But I do love to be able to help with the children's books too, because a lot of times it's a parent who has this idea, they've written it for their child. There's just so much heart behind it. And so, and then inevitably they have no idea what to do with it. So that's where I come in to help.
Well, on the base level too, Melanie, storytelling.
Yes.
They're selling children's books. The wealth advisor lawyers selling. That's why each wealth advisor lawyer book is completely, because they're not the same story.
Right.
One guy might have been homeless to get his law degree. One might have been the richest guy in the world and got a lot of, there's so many ways. That's why writing a book, or you tell me, tells our story, but it leaves a legacy, doesn't it?
It does leave a legacy. Absolutely. Because any book that doesn't infuse your magic into it is just really a how-to workbook.
Yeah.
And we don't need that. We want to hear from you, the author. We crave this human interaction, especially now in this post-pandemic world. Being apart sucked. Really sucked. So the more we can learn about people through their story, the more connected we feel. And stories are also very memorable. And that's what you want when you're marketing your business.
I got to agree with you 100% about seeing people in person. I just met one of my podcast guests June 5th at an event, and we had dinner together. What an experience. And that's the beauty of this virtual that I take. Mm-hmm. Maybe someday we meet, we hug, we go get caught, whatever. How cool is that? We've built this relationship virtually. In person, it's just much bigger. Because I know we'd have a lot of fun. Probably a lot of people would join us for sure. I want to put you on the spot a little bit, because I love children's books. I love people that write children's books, because children need to be educated and they need to be positive influence with everything that's going on. What's one of your favorite children's books you've been part of?
That I've been part of? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a client who's writing a series of 15 books. And she has just published, I want to say she's about to publish number 10. And these books she's hand painted all the illustrations because she's an artist as well. And it's about this elephant. And this elephant learns communication skills. She learns things about herself, and then she goes and teaches her friends in each story. She teaches her friends something too. So she experiences the trials, tribulations, learns from it, and then goes and shares her knowledge with her friends. And it's so sweet. And it's called so her name is Bella Elephant. It's Bella, Bella gets a big girl bed, and Bella, grows a garden, and Bella's trip to Italy, and all these. It's just adorable. And it's just a whimsical, beautiful story.
And she could do that because they're small books and probably a lot of illustrations. So she can do So you're not suggesting a lawyer or wealth advisor do 15 books.
No, so that's a whole other thing. Yeah. So yes. I would actually recommend not having any illustrations in a book that is written by a lawyer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No elephant illustrations in lawyer books. Yeah.
What I love about this Bella the elephant, and my wife's dog's name is Bella, so I resonate with that. It's so cute. But In and Out. What's that new movie out? It's really
Inside Out.
Inside Out. $1 billion movie. It's the same thing, following a girl's story with emotions. And it sounds like Bella Elephant's the same type of thing, but just a different journey.
Yeah, it's really, we're not inside Bella's head. We're just as a third person. It's a third person account. But yes, definitely touches on the emotions. She's feeling scared. She's feeling frustrated. She's feeling X way, and then a trusted adult in her life comes in and shares, a lesson, and then she gets it. She's a malleable elephant who who understands that, she doesn't know everything yet. She's not a teenager.
Yeah. You get me excited because I would love to write a children's book and be able to read it to kids.
Well,
I just had that thought in my head. Well, she's selling me on my own show. What is this girl doing? I love it.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. There used to be such a high barrier to entry.
Oh.
But now it's not the same. You can publish. You don't have to wait for somebody to say, "Oh, Steve, it's okay. I'm going to let you." You get to decide. And that's the beauty of this day and age in the publishing space. You get to decide when you want to do it. You have the power.
What has changed? I want to dive into this because I'm excited for the audience to hear. What has changed 3 or 4 years ago to today where maybe it's not as easy as to what has changed? What makes it easier?
Well, there's no stigma.
Okay.
There is no stigma to self-publishing. I call it independent publishing because guess what? You're starting your own publishing imprint. Is that a vanity thing? No, it's not. It's a smart business decision.
I love it.
And, we used to have to be, beholden to these big publishers. And there are some people who still want to publish with the big publishers. And to that I say, congratulations, wonderful, good for you. Let me introduce you to some people who may be able to help you get what you want. Yeah. But that's if you have time and you're willing to wait, but you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, Melanie, that's what service is all about. I can't help you, Steve or Mona. Let me introduce you to XYZ multi-billion-dollar publishing company. They can do what you're doing. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. How important is that for your business to say no to people that doesn't fit?
Very. Well, for my mental health. and look, I am never going to overpromise something. Mm-hmm. And I listen to people and I listen to what they are really asking me for. And sometimes they don't know what they're asking me for. And I will say, it sounds like what you want is this. What you really want is to have a publisher, or what you really want is to have a publicist pitching you to, the Daily Show, or sorry, not the Daily Show, the Today Show. Well, actually, your publicist could pitch you to the Daily Show as well. But anyway, and I'll say, if that's what you're looking for, then let me introduce you to somebody.
Yeah. That's a servant's heart. My podcast, Doing Business Servant. Together we serve. Together we're working together to serve others. It's not competition. It's collaboration. I've got to do this. Well, that was a loud one. That went longer than I thought. Thank you. But it's such a point. I'm so glad because you're super successful. It's not like you need every single client to publish a book or work with you.
No.
You're not homeless. You're not scavenging for food. So you still say no and are super successful. Correct?
Yes, because to me, success isn't just monetary. It's also about my joy and my happiness. And I have worked with people where I was miserable. And I'm watching the money come in and I'm like, but at what cost? So I've learned to shift that. And now I work with people that I know it's going to be a good fit for both of us.
And that's the key, both. Not just you or not just them. And as servant heart, somebody with service mentality does say no. You are serving them because it's not going to work either way. They're not being helped. You're not being helped.
Right.
Why do it?
Right.
Just for the money. That's all short-term transactional.
Yes.
Before we get to our break, what's one thing your advisors, your lawyers do wrong when they jump in and talk to you about a book?
They say, well, I just don't have time. I like the idea, but I just don't have time. So what do you think I should do? Should I just have someone else write it for me? And I'm going to say no every time. I'm going to say you can, but I wouldn't advise that. because then it's not really yours. And there's really something special to be said about something that is really yours, that you can say, I wrote this book. It's mine. There are people who hire ghostwriters and then feel tremendous imposter syndrome about their book because they feel like they didn't write it. And I think that that's a shame, because even if it's your story, it's still yours. So what I always say is there is time and you can write it.
Yeah, I can see that. And you've had people say that they've written their book, and have they been successful?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, when you write your own book, it's yours. And yeah, it's a laborious process, but it's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. You can do it. And even if it was, I mean, you probably could do brain surgery and what have you.
Yeah, just read a book.
Yeah.
Read a book on brain surgery.
Watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you said laborious, because I've talked to other people. They talk to people, go, oh, we'll do it quickly. We're very good. We're fast. And it's never like that, is it?
Look, there are people who will write a book in a week. And I'm like, that sounds like hell to me. I need my time. I need the words to breathe. I need my thoughts and my ideas to breathe. I think that a good thing you could do, now these are not very huge books that I work on. These are not like 300-page tomes. This is more like a 150 page, maybe less, just a book about your business and who you are and stuff like that. And that kind of thing, you would be surprised how quickly you get it out of you to begin with. You really will. You'll be surprised.
I can see it in your voice and your passion, spurring me on ideas as you're talking to me, asking me questions. I can see that. See, audience, she's still trying to sell me. Not trying, she is. No, she's not doing it purposely.
I'm not trying.
So let's take a break. Give Melanie a break. She's been giving us so many good nuggets. So we'll take about a 4 to 5 minute break. We'll be right back with Together We Serve. Those are the soft tones of I don't know who, but I love that song. It's very gentle, quiet, and it's Melanie. She's such an expert, but she's so humble. So come back, post your questions in the chat box. She'll answer any of your questions about a book. You're thinking about being an author. You're an author and want to market it. If you've written a book, she'll still work with you. She has so many different components to her business. Or if you know somebody, have them reach out to Melanie, because the power of a book that I love, and we mentioned earlier, is legacy. I just had a gentleman, a friend of mine, who passed away 4 weeks ago, unexpectedly, but he wrote a book called Can You Think and Grow Rich? Actually, it's a better book than Think and Grow Rich. But you know what? I've shared it with about 100 people. His legacy lives on, even though he passed away at 63. What he's done in his life, being a millionaire 3 times, being homeless 3 times, will live on. He'll be serving and supporting people forever. That's what I see in a book. And that's where Melanie comes in as the freaking rock star to really help you build that legacy. Let's bring her back. Welcome back, Melanie. You all hydrated, ready to roll?
So hydrated. Thank you.
Awesome. And by the way, she wrote the book for Chanel called Coco.
If only.
No, yeah, she didn't. But I want to get back into legacy. It's a really sad story. A friend of mine, and it became a friend. He was a podcast guest.
Sorry.
But thank you so much. But talk about that, because I talk about him all the time now. And the book is the catalyst to that. Let's delve into that a little deeper, because that's, I think, where it gets emotional and powerful right in the book.
It is such an emotional piece. I totally agree with you. Just totally, a small story. When my daughter, who is now 12, saw that I was in the throes of writing a book, she kept saying, "Mommy, when are you going to be an author? When are you going to be an author?" And then I published, and she was like, "Wow, Mommy, you're an author." And then she said, "I want to be an author. I want to write a book and publish it." And I said, "Anytime you want, I will help you do that." And so now, in a way, my legacy is transferring to her, because she sees that anything is possible for her to become an author. And I just love that so much.
Well, the story, now you brought more. Now we're going to have a lot to talk about now, because I didn't think about the generational legacy. Hey, here's Grandma Melanie. Here's the book she wrote. Here's her story. This is what she was about. And that book can be passed on to all the grandparents and the generations.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is. And, even if you're writing a business book, and, my book's about book marketing, and my daughter doesn't have a book to market, and my grandchildren to be don't have books to market, there's still story infused. You can see how I write and my style and get my voice. And that's something that will be a legacy.
Okay, you sold me. Chanel, I'm going to reach out to Chanel. We're going to get that book written for Chanel. See what we do on this TV show? We make $1 million deals here. We're so awesome.
Love it.
Let's talk about this. I'm very excited, and don't want to forget about it, is your workshop.
Yeah.
And the link is going to across. Talk about this unbelievable workshop.
Okay, so it is a workshop that you can join at any time. I have made it such that it is 24/7 for you. It is a $47 workshop, but the value that you will get is so much more, because we're going to take you through all the pieces of what marketing your book entails. And then you get on a call with me, and we'll go through all the things that you worked out and see where you have gaps, if you have any, or we'll be able to say, "Hey, I got this, and I'm just doing all the right things." And then you can pat yourself on the back and be on your way. But it really gives you a broad scope of all the things that you can do with your book, so that you never feel like, "Oh, my book's just sitting on a shelf, not doing anything."
I like to add, I don't talk pricing much, because I think people find out. But you're telling me for $47, I get all this information, and I get a call with you.
Yeah.
And that call is part of the $47.
Yeah.
Okay, audience, if you're not knocking down the door right now, I'm going to make this a when they do the donations.
Oh yeah, like a really long. What are they called?
Telecom, whatever it is.
Yes, yes,
But
those things.
start ringing her phone now. Start
Yes.
ringing her email now. No, and I'm half kidding, but half serious. That is so affordable, especially if you're serious about writing a book.
Mhm.
You can learn how to market it before they write it and have some tools to work with, right?
Absolutely, it is. Yes, 100%.
What's the first step in writing a book?
The first step is defining the idea, and then really figuring out. So it's a two pronged. Figuring out what your idea is, and then why you're writing it. Because if you're like, well, I just want to write a book to be rich, or I just want to write a book to write a book so I could say I'm an author. So, why are you writing it and what is your idea? And then step 2 would be, who is it for?
Audience.
And then step 3 would be, how can I outline this and make it so that it will answer step 1 and 2?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm going to work this as I ask questions as if I was writing a book.
Yeah.
So my next question would be, how many pages should it be? Should it be 500?
Oh my gosh, I
60?
kept asking that question. I kept asking that question too. I must have gone bananas. I will just say 25,000 words gets you to about 110 pages. So I would say aim for 30,000 words, 35,000 words, somewhere around there. You're going to get to the crux of your message without fluff and flowery stuff that never really benefits you. I once had somebody say to me, well, there's really only like a few lines that are really what a book is about, and the rest is just fluff. I was like, well, not exactly. But because of my journalism background, it's been beaten into me how to take a three-line sentence and really just dial it down into one line. And, what are you really saying? So that's one of the things that I love to help clients with, is figure out what are you really saying and what parts can we cut out?
Yeah. No, that's good. The next question I would have is, how many people should read my words after I've written the 25,000 words? Should it one person, or is there a number that you share with people like, okay, we've got pretty much your book done to edit and just to get input? How many people should look at it?
Okay, so I have clients that want to have like 10 beta readers, 20 beta readers. I had 0 beta readers. The only beta readers that I used were my editor and my proofreader. And I'm probably just a little bit different than regular humans, but I didn't want all this extra feedback because I trusted that what was in my book was what I wanted to say. And then my editor and my proofreader felt the same way. So I'm a firm believer in too many cooks in the kitchen can really spoil things. So it's great to have people. Not only could they spoil it by giving too much input, sometimes beta readers aren't really an expert in your topic. Yeah. And so it's like asking your mom, hey mom, what do you think about this thing that you don't really know anything about? Tell me your feedback on it. So I would say, keep it on the lower end of things. Okay.
This is a great journey. So the next part of my journey then is the book's done. Mm-hmm. All right, Melanie, we did this book. Everything's done. It's being printed. What's next?
Okay, so now we are gearing up to do a bestseller campaign on Amazon, which is a nice to have. It is not a requirement, and it is nice to say my book is bestselling. It is not a marketing plan. It is just a fun thing to do that is possible. And we're also starting to, have you pitch yourself to be on podcasts, to be on stages, to be on, to get media opportunities. We're having you build out, your whole marketing foundation, making sure that there's a free resource that goes along with the book so you can start growing your email list, making sure that you have emails going out, making sure that we're starting to get you reviews.
Yeah.
Reviews
I like the emails.
Yeah.
And I like the email. I didn't even think about that, but that's part. People like emails don't know. Emails work. They work. People read them every day. They're, email marketing. No, it's not. It's actually a way I make a lot of money. So I love that you said that. So let's dive into, now I get it all. Let's dive into speaking and podcasting. So, okay, you tell me, let's go out. I go to a speaking gig. Tell me all about that journey when I go out and speak. What am I supposed to do?
So it'll be a couple of different things. It could be that they're going to pay you to speak and then they're going to buy your books wholesale and distribute them to the people in the audience. Or you may be speaking for free, but then you get to sell your books at the back of the room. No matter what, when you are doing the pitch, let people know that you have this book and how it dovetails beautifully with whatever it is that you do speak about, because then it's just going to open more doors for you. A lot of times they'll say you can't come if you don't have a book. So that's going to be a definite game changer for you.
Should I tell stories from the book in my speaking gig?
Yes, you can. One time I went to an event where a woman spoke for 2 hours. And then I went and I bought her book at the back of the room. And the first half of her book was her speech, verbatim.
Okay.
And I went, oh, this isn't new. So I think that your book, assuming your book is a how-to of some sort or a get to know me, or these are the 10 things that my ideal clients always ask and I'm going to answer it all at once. You can have your speech talk about pieces from there, but you're also going to want to change it for tailor it to the audience. So if you can have other stories, I would recommend them. I mean, there's always going to be your core stories, like how you got to where you are. That's not changing. You don't want to start making stuff up. That would be silly. So people will always hear that, and that reinforces who you are. Yeah. But if you're going to give examples of things, try to vary it up, because the more stories you have, the more memorable you are.
Yeah, I learned something big just now. The core of your story. I started as a servant at 18, working in the house. That's my whole course, my story. I talk about that even though it's in the book, but I show different ways I've served that aren't in the book, might be book 2, but aren't there, and read what you just said. And your story leads to referral marketing. I'm a big fan of it, as you know, affiliate marketing and referral, building your network. Mm-hmm. How important is that, and how did it affect you when you read that part of the book and go, holy mackerel, I just heard that whole book in a speech?
It made me lose a little desire to continue, because I felt like this. I started to feel like it was a conveyor belt sort of thing. Like, this is all we talk about. Now you're on the conveyor belt. Now you're supposed to give us your credit card, and I didn't like it because it didn't feel honest. It didn't feel honest or authentic. It felt canned.
That's not good. And you're not going to refer the book. That referral marketing just failed.
Right, exactly. I'm not. Right.
Yeah.
I have not ever referred that book.
And you may not be the only one, because you're probably not the one about the book and read the same thing. What a great lesson. And that's why I love stories, because that's a huge lesson in the story, because I think the legacy part, but also the referral part. Somebody reads your book and go, hey, you need to read Can You Think and Grow Rich? I'm sharing it to everybody because I loved it. I love his story. Any other tips before we go to the next to podcast guesting? Any other tips as a speaker with your book that you should know?
Don't be afraid to give your book away.
Uh,
Because if it can become the tool that allows you to get a new client, think about it. The book cost you $10, $15. The client is giving you $50,000.
Easy numbers. And I like that because I was told a story. A friend of mine who was a speaker, 3 guys that were very influential guys, millions, multi-millionaire, all that. And they were speaking. They had books and they gave all their books away, but they never talked about their book except for their core story. And then they did things. And it's part because they're multimillionaires and very well connected. They went behind the bar and sat down. And he said, I sat there and listened. $1 million deals were happening. I need to work with you. I need to work with you. Hey, let's partner up on this. Can I use you for this? And these guys were making millions of dollars in the back end because they never sold. They sold themselves. They didn't sell the book. They didn't sell their business.
Right.
Oh,
And
I love it.
the book is not the end. The book is the beginning. It's the opener.
I call it your business card too.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is.
business card's great. It's got your website, all that information, but maybe put that in your book and go, here, learn a little bit more about me, like you said earlier so well. So cool. Okay, let's jump into podcasting.
Woo.
My favorite thing in guesting, I've probably had 150 authors on my podcast. Some did a great job. Some did a good job, but I think there's better ways. How should I be a podcast guest with my book?
Okay, first thing is not to say, like I wrote in the book. Nobody wants to hear that. So you can refer to the fact that you have a book one time. Give yourself that one time. And that's it. The rest of the time, focus on your message. The host will alert their listeners to the fact that you have a book. And if you want to say, well, my book is available on all these platforms, or you could talk about when you were writing the book or some impact that your book has had. But when you start going on page 75, people are gone. They have left the building. You can play that sound again.
Oh, yes. And the scary part, they only have a 70-page book. I'm just kidding, audience. I'm joking. But I love that. And the other thing is some podcast hosts don't want to talk about books. They just want people's stories.
Exactly.
How do I handle that as an author?
Well, as an author, you can just use it as an aside, and that's why I wrote the book, and that's what I love to share about in my book, or, because I'm an author, I've had these great doors open for me. I'm not sure what the context is, so I'm just speaking in generalities.
No.
But when you say, like I said in my book, that automatically makes people go, oh, and there's now a barrier between you and them because they feel like they're not on the inside because they haven't read the book. Yeah. Or it makes them feel like you think you're so special because you wrote a book. And it just brings up, it triggers. It's a trigger thing to say. Yeah. So if you're going to talk about your book, talk about it in when I published my book in January. It turns out, by the way, Prince Harry, it was 2023. So it has been a year and a half.
Look at that.
I checked.
Thank you.
So when I published my book, I was hoping to do X, Y, and Z. So it's all about how you speak of it. It's kind of in coming from a place of service and not a place of, I'm so great.
Yeah, and the other thing I've seen is being subtle. That's what I wanted you to go with. You read my mind perfectly. Okay. Because the other thing is people jump on. I've heard podcasts and go, the book is releasing next week. You better get it before it runs out. It's going to be the best book you ever read. And I'm an expert at this. And it's only $19.99. It may go up in price. I'm kind of half making, but you get where I'm going. Don't sell the book on a podcast or on a TV show, on a radio show.
No, exactly. It's your message. That's what people are going to resonate with. It's not the book itself. I mean, how many times have you listened to a podcast and you have loved what you were hearing, but you couldn't remember the person's name? or you couldn't remember the title of the book that they were talking about. I am such a visual person that if I don't see it written in front of me, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. So that's what's great about show notes. But I'll tell you, if you made me feel a certain way or I learned something interesting about you, I'm going to listen to I'm going to go and check out those show notes and maybe even listen to the podcast again and get the information. But when you push things in people's faces, you don't get the results that you're looking for.
An audience, that's across the board. If it's a book, if it's your workshop, if it's your business, she just blew me out of the water. It's exactly what you do for everything. It should be like very subtle and just informational. Yeah. I can't believe we got just a couple minutes left. This is going fast. I know, we flew right by. I got a fun question for you because you're so much fun. So you're on an airplane, you're traveling. Okay. And you get to choose who sits, because on a plane, you never know who's going to sit next to you. They're going to talk your ear off, or they're going to snore, or whatever. Who would you choose to sit next to you on your trip across country? So it's a 5-hour flight, and why?
Ooh.
Dead or alive?
Okay. I think it would be Abraham Lincoln today, is what I would say. I recently watched Manhunt, which is a fictitious. Have you seen it? Okay, so
I need to see it. No,
okay. Oh my God, you need to see it. Okay. And it got me thinking that I had so many questions for him. What was he really thinking? Because when you look back at history, it's all just one-dimensional. And people say, well, he ended slavery, or he did this one thing. I want to know, what were you thinking? What was on your mind? What were the voices? What were the other people around you saying? What did you have to experience in order to get to, here where we are today? And so I think I would like to talk to him.
That's a great one. And I get that a lot. And I love to read. If he wrote a book, I would read that book in a minute.
Maybe on that plane ride, I can get him. I can get him to talk. I'll transcribe it and turn it into a book. That'll be.
No, get him to hire you. That's what you could. I know you could do that. I just hired Abraham Lincoln, and he's dead. That's the best sales in the world. You just hired a dead person. That's fantastic. I love it. Thank you so much. We got 2 minutes left. A minute left. Any last words you want to leave the audience?
If you are thinking, oh my goodness, I wish I could write a book, but insert imposter syndrome, insert story that you're telling yourself, stop and tell yourself that's just a story, because you have a unique and important experience and it deserves to be told and to be shared.
So well said. Thank you, Melanie, with the bottom of my heart. What a great show. And audience, we'll see you next week. I got a surprise guest, and it's not Abraham Lincoln, so don't worry about that. We'll see you next week, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Together we serve. You all have a great week. We'll see you next week.